Howdy. Howdy, partners. Yeah, it's holy cow. Like, look at it out there. Holy cow. There's some crazy, huge, like, breakthroughs and synchronicities and just playful, winks happening. Or, like, with my, like, process and through my story. And I thought I would come back and share and follow some different threads and lay bare, like, this vulnerability and this process of becoming. I can share it with you, whoever wants to receive and listen and relate and, share with me their own, or themselves, their own stories and their own, like, processes of transforming and growing and becoming and, unbecoming. So in my last video, I spoke about the jade technique, or that pattern that I was in, and I didn't even realize it, and it made so much sense to me, like why I'm always trying to explain myself and be understood and be heard and be seen, because of the fear of being seen as wrong, as unworthy, as bad, as heartless, or not acceptable, or not approved of, or not socially validated, like being chronically invalidated and gaslit and minimized or erased or modified in certain ways to hold, like, the baggage of the family or the culture or the system. And when I was like, it was kind of a reluctant role of resignation of, like, okay, I guess this is my role, kind of a thing, to take on the sins of the family, or to just wear this identity of shame and be the punching bag or the garbage disposal or the dumpster, like, and to help people in those ways. But that actually wasn't really helping. Like, even though it seemed to temporarily band-aid or make comfortable or make tolerable or take the edge off or please the other person or please me or please the needs of the relationship, the existing relationship that was lopsided and divided and sometimes even uninvited, but didn't realize I was inviting certain things into my space because my ego is quite tricky, and the underlying aspects that I had not been aware of were running the show behind the scenes, and the undercurrent, on the undercurrents, the emotional undercurrents in the relationship were always being scanned and tested. Putting the foot in the water, feeling out the waters to see how much of a risk it would be to actually be authentic or to speak my own needs. And there was a part of me that actually, agreed that, my needs aren't as important and I'm not as important as the other person, because obviously I don't need as much as the other person does. But actually, that wasn't true at all. That was a story. And that kind of was the foundation for my self-abandonment and all the other relationships that I had in my life were kind of built on that foundation that wasn't a foundation of wholeness. It was like a martyr miser template of some sort. And I'm just, unraveling that and seeing through some of that for myself in new ways. Like, I've been working with that dynamic because I've seen that in my family system, the miser-martyr dynamics, where we can be, like, very, very giving and sometimes over-giving and hyper vigilant and codependent and pleasing, to get our own needs met in manipulative ways. Like, yeah, good intentions and heart's in the right place in certain ways, but hidden costs and hidden agendas and hidden motives, hidden drives, to be included and not ostracized. And so, the miser martyr programming or dynamics, like the imbalance, like of deficiency and overcompensation at play, and not enoughness or too muchness, and the false metrics, and the scorekeepers, the teetotalers, the measurers, the measuring stick, like the false measuring stick of what have you done for me lately, and what do I need to do for you so you'll do this for me, transactional type relationships. And like just getting to like the root of it and the bottom of it and the heart of it, like to see what the remedy is and what the correction is to correct errors made in ignorance. And forgiveness and gratitude, like for showing me the way, for showing me to how to open like to like the truth of love always, and how to have and create like the foundation for a right relationship with myself, with Creator, and with all my loved ones, all my relations, all those that are in relationship with me, and active and dynamic like participation and engagement and reciprocation. And seeing that unhealthy patterns in the toxic relationships or the inherited implanted models that we kept reinforcing or playing out through this resourcing from this false platform, this false foundation, which is like building a house upon the sand. It will not stand. And so, because, it only reinforces or can hold a structure of separation, which is a falsity. And so, moving from the paradigm of separation and domination and control into one of wholeness and oneness and individuation and self-mastery and belonging and authenticity and creativity and fertility and prosperity, and being one within the whole, being one whole, unified within the inner whole, to have it ripple outward and create like this new reality and this new system that is built and sources from wholeness, from the truth of all that is. And so, just kind of flipping through different lenses, different aspects, like of the wounded child, the maiden, like the wounded healer, the wounded mother, like seeing all these different patterns and these wounds in the family, and seeing how they played out and through like the whole family system, and in certain individuals and certain relationships within that system. And so it's very, eye-opening and interesting to look into and like kind of draw parallels into like how it can be seen on the outside, using it as a mirror to inquire inside, like, how is this happening within my own mind, within my own psyche, within my own life? And how am I keeping it going, this old pattern? And what am I attached to about it? And what keeps me like trapped in it and stuck in it and frozen and recycling in this toxic soup and this frozen feedback loop? Because there was a dream I had a couple years ago that was really potent, and it was huge for me, showing me really punny things clever, funny, symbolic things that I got to unravel for myself that, that I was meant to, like, receive in my own ways for my own self. Yeah, for my whole self. And yeah, it was one main part of it was that there was a frozen circular pond, and it was going around, but the water inside of it was frozen, but yet it was still like rotating around, kind of like on a conveyor belt of some kind. And there was a frozen bicycle stuck like kind of like on one end of it, but it was going around like frozen in the frozen ice, but like yet still circulating. I was like, what? This frozen pond is circulating? How does that work? And it was a bicycle. And so it was like kind of showing like the divide and the two-part dynamic of fear and desire. And so, yeah, it was great. I wrote a little bit about that today. And because another dream had come up recently for me, like about 2 days ago, and it was like, I do have like interesting dreams, and at certain points in my life, like when I'm going through certain processes or whatnot, I do like really do my best to pay attention, and especially when they're this loaded with and sparked with huge emotions, where I wake up and it's like panic, and it's like I'm going through that like all over again, like kind of a flashback, and like almost like a dangerous situation, like that I'm trying to get free from or rescue myself from, like being hurt or being victimized or being injured, like to protect myself from this old pain, this harm, this betrayal, this abandonment, this rejection, this disavowment, dismemberment, cut off from, get away from, dismembering, discarding, devaluing, disowning, not taking accountability for, because of the shame and the fear and the pride, and that's not who it's acceptable to be. So you can't own that part of yourself, or whatever that part is, or whatever behavior or whatever unconscious aspect has been dumped into the shadow that operates in a way that's more against itself than for itself, because there's always that like struggle, inner conflict, inner battle. When we do like dismember parts of ourselves, they're always coming back and emerging in certain ways to be included, or to, because even though maybe we have like forgotten or rejected or abandoned these parts, they're still there, and they'll still show up in certain ways, in dysfunctional ways, in fragmented ways. They still have a life and energy, and it's just like it's not directed consciously. It can wreak havoc on our best intentions and the things that we believe and say and think that we want. Like it's a saboteur energy or a hindering of sorts when when we're operating in this way against ourselves and projecting all of these undesirable qualities onto the psychologicalized, I don't even know if that's a word, other, the other that we have psychologically othered. And then the others that we have idealized, we have to keep them propped up on a pedestal. So it's pedestalized parts of ourselves that we're kind of disowning and reflecting onto another that can hold our power, our goodness, our rightness, our beauty, our gifts, our ability, our will force for us. And so, yeah, that's what I've just been looking into and everything. But with this dream, it was so interesting. The feelings of guilt, of shame, of pain, sorrow, anger, disgust, contempt, rage. Yeah, all these things. And there was this one part in it where it was in a bedroom, but there was a door on the left side and the right side. So see if you follow me here and can pick up on some of these symbolic images and this language of the soul, like where our unconscious wants to show us different things to help us make the darkness conscious. And so on one door was totally normal, and on the left side it was a pretty normal door. It could be shut and opened easily and just fine. But the other door, it was interesting. It was intact. The door was intact, along with the door frame and everything like that, and it could be opened and closed. But it was so funny that in like the wall part next to the door, there was a big gap and a big opening that was like all jagged, and like somebody could even like just step through it. Didn't matter if the door was closed or open or not. Like it was like just an open space, like a leak through or a bleed through, that like old energies or whatever could just go in and out, whether or not the door was slammed shut or not, And so it's just like kind of making me think, well, this is kind of like a bleed through. And also it was about like betrayal and infidelity and abandonment and carelessness and all of that kind of stuff coming up. And it brought back some stuff from my first marriage and some of the dynamics that were in that relationship and how painful that relationship really was, where it's been quite a while now since being in that active relationship with my first husband, who is my only child, like only biological child in this life. It's her father, my daughter's father. And I'm so grateful that, like, for that relationship, that, that gift that we, received and were given, to have, to have a beautiful daughter, to have a healthy child, to have such a teacher, to have someone to love and to nurture and to care for, and to know myself as a mother. Because that's all, like, from when I was a child, that's all I ever wanted to be. Like, that motherhood was such a dream come true for me. Like, I always just adored and idealized and loved, like, all things that the mother is and could be. Like, for her children, too. Like, just such a idealization and veneration of the mother and the sacred mother and the archetype. And that mother, maiden crone, and the mother and child. Like, that relationship, there's nothing deeper like the bond that can be, and it can be so shaken as well and sabotaged in a lot of ways. And so, like, there is a lot of different things to heal in the family because of some of those mother wounds and things. But yeah, I want to talk more about some of these themes in just a few minutes. And so, don't be so sure about any one thing. That is what's coming to me lately, and through like a couple different mediums and a couple different synchronicities and images and stories and characters and like inner and outer movies, shows taking place in certain ways and uncertain ways. So don't be so sure about anything. I'm not so sure about anything. Like, there are certain things that I am secure, like, that I know, that I know that I am. And just letting all the rest go to be revealed and or dissolved or removed or transformed into like what they already are, like allowing like the false image to fall away so that the true vision can be received and seen, embodied and sold and redeemed. Yeah, this is like my redemption story in a way. So yeah, the dream themes and like have to do in some ways with bleed throughs from the past that are affecting my relationships and my sense of self and my integrity and what I want to create. And yeah, still wreaking a little bit of havoc, obviously, in certain relationship dynamics because of the need for covert control or getting needs met and all of those things. And I feel like, too, like, you know, my own relationship with my mother set the stage for certain things, but it was just multi-generational patterns at play, too. And my mom had such a good heart, and she always wanted kids, just like I did. My mom always wanted to be a mother and to nurture and to love like little ones, and like a lot of us have that like built-in instinct and desire to carry life and to support life and to honor life and to have a relationship, a sacred relationship with life. And that mother is like the epitome and the embodiment of those things, the source of love and care and nurturing and all those things. And so I get to re-mother and re-parent and re-father myself, my own little child, my own wounded child. And a lot of that too, I was able to see through the care and the love and the nurturing that I've been able to share with my grandchildren. I have a granddaughter and a grandson that I just adore and love and light up my life. And I just love playing with them and just being with them, and love being a grandma because there is more space in certain ways, like now, where there isn't such oppressive expectations around certain things that come like when we're younger, when we're raising our families and trying to get it all together and trying to provide for ourselves, care for ourselves, whatever it is that we need to prove to ourselves or others, you know, in certain ways, like when we're going through like certain stages of our lives or chapters of our stories, and discovering like who we really are through certain relationships that we have that can reveal to us in painful ways or in pleasurable ways and joyful ways, like who we really are, what we really need, what's compatible, what's working, what's not working, what's serving, what's not serving, what's in alignment, what's not in alignment, what may be undermining us or devaluing us in certain ways, or where we're self-abandoning. And so certain things that we learned in childhood for survival and to belong and to be comfortable or be secure or safe. And that's all different for all of us, like the versions that we needed or that we were aware of or that we had access to or that we had the capacity for. But I'm sure like there's a lot of relatable and universal themes and sort of semi-comparable experiences, you know, that we can relate to and empathize with and kind of learn from by just looking at like certain patterns and how like those dynamics kind of play themselves out and how we can identify them or like notice or track certain things and kind of like almost like the why and the how of things. But sometimes those things aren't as important. It's just acknowledgement and recognition. And then the steps that we take in action because of care that we have to correct and transform those different patterns that kind of like dishonor the wholeness that we are and our own well-being and our own wealth and our own power that we have to create our own lives and to nurture our own life and nurture our own relationships through the relationship that we have and we hold and we share, like with ourselves and others. And so, yeah, just kind of learning different things about myself and my family and the roles that they've played and the roles I've played and the things that they've shown me, like through the relationship, through the gift of relationship, through that mirror. And yeah, very, very blessed. I feel very blessed and very grateful and very humble and yeah, ready to accept and come into radical acceptance and make use of all the things that I can, instead of, I don't know what the fuck to do with this, but that's okay too. Like sometimes, like just to sit with it and just allow it to be like a mess. And what the fuck is this? Like the 3 stages of life: birth, what the fuck is this, and death. Yeah. So yeah, sometimes confusion and clarity are the same, 2 sides of the same coin and all of that, and you just flip in between them, like, and sometimes we fool ourselves into thinking we're really, like, really clear about something, and then we get, we surprise ourselves and find we're feeling our way through the dark still. But there could be like little flashes of insights and little bright lights that lead us like to our next little crumb or our nugget or the thread that we pull on. It just depends on where we're seeking, where we're searching, and where it's leading us or misleading us. Because we can't go into like our own delusions and confusion, on this path of awakening. And our ego is really tricky, and it can like trap us in delusional thinking and wishful thinking or programmed interference and weaponized weaponized thinking, weaponized stories, weaponized seeing, misperceptions, miscreations, and misdirection of our own like creative energies. And so like it's just like it's kind of cool like to just play with all these things and to notice and just allow them to be, and just allow myself to be like as I am, right where I am, here as I am. A lot of the time I would like just want to get out of it. Let's fix this, let's make it better, let's let's just feel better, like, I don't want to feel this, I'm always running away from feeling certain difficult feelings or from feeling the burden of that shame of it wasn't enough, it was too much, it wasn't what they wanted, it pissed them off, it was meant to shine a light on this, but it got me exiled and thrown into the corner or punished or scorned or smeared or scapegoated, or just dismembered from my family and myself. So self-abandonment, that's huge. And feeling like, certain things like abandonment, the abandonment stories and the abandonment experience that me and my sisters and my dad went through in my early life as a teen at 15. My mother left, all of us, my sisters and my dad, but took my littlest sister like with her, kind of as a little token to kind of have leverage. In certain ways, like, she probably felt that she could still mold my younger sister to whatever her agendas were, but it wasn't too late, for my little sister to be a mini-me of her. But like the rest of us, like, she pretty much wrote off and scapegoated me for, being like this bad, terrible person that was hopeless, like, and disgusting and just, yeah, uncontrollable, or it was a threat to her sense of control and security and her, like, ideals. Like, she wanted life to be a certain way, and it needed to be that certain way. And the more that she pushed and the more that she shoved, there was pushback. And it was very abusive and predatory, but she felt like it was for the best. Like, you know, it was a fierce mama bear love to get us to, you know, to comply with different things that were going to be best for us, and to lead us, like, to salvation and to be good, like, to be good and to be worthy and to be true, and all of that, like, had a lot to do with her own limitations and the things she couldn't accept about herself, her own aspects that she had rejected and that she had learned in her family because of the shame identities and growing up in the church and being her dad's golden child. Yeah, but there was different things. Like, she was kind of the invisible child to her mom, in a way. But she was the golden child in her dad's eyes. And I know that there was some certain conflicts when she was a teenager with her dad, where she was kind of rebelling a little bit against his rigidity and his, like, absolute authority, where, like, she kind of had a split in her own, like, psyche, where she had to remove and reject certain parts of herself that lay hidden, maybe until, like, her own daughters came about the same age as she was, when she had, like, a nervous breakdown and finally, like, was sent to a facility to get well. And really, like, she was just being conditioned in certain ways to go along with the programming, and, like, and then, you know, came out, okay, I'll be good, you know, and then got on that path to suppress, like, different things, like, whatever it was for her, so that she could be good and be seen as right and be accepted by her father, and be approved of by her father, which was everything to her. And so, like, she had to dismember parts of herself in order for, you know, for her to maintain that relationship and that role with him. Yeah, so just kind of looking at the father wound and the mother wound, and, like, how certain generational patterns have come down and manifested themselves, and then, like, how certain things played out, like, yeah, through my childhood, and then, like, also, like, my experience in parenthood, with my own, like, child, my own daughter, and then other, you know, my other children, my stepchildren, and other children that I cared for as if they were my own children. Yeah, and just how, like, certain dynamics and at play in and through those relationships. So, like, helping me to see, like, all these different parts and these roles that we play and these energies, you know, and this blending and everything, and how certain energies can leak through without our conscious awareness and attention, and yeah, how they take on a life of their own, like, and run us or run through us, like, these patterns. And, like, just needing to understand the patterns to shift and change and transform or interrupt the pattern. And so, like, yeah, healing different distortions and wounds, like, through, like, seeing into these patterns, like, these patterns of dysfunction and these patterns of power over and power struggles and, like, control and domination, like, for whatever safety and secure resources. Like, part of our resources, if we look at, like, the people in our lives as part of our resources too, like, to, you know, because we all share different energies with each other, and yeah, our attention and different different gifts that we reciprocate or share or trade with each other, so that, yeah, we can create together or co-create or cooperate or be in relationship together. But like, it's just going to be on a whole new level, but like there's certain things that need to be cleared or attended to or completed and make the space for the new life cycles that are supported by surrendering the old cycles and integrating them or dissolving that which no longer is needed. So composting to nurture and fertilize the new life cycle that wants to come in and through like our consciousness, our relationships, our creativity, our fertility, our true selves, our authenticity, our soul-made lives, the soul and the spirit in union within this container, this sacred womb, the sacred vessel, the chalice, the tree of life. And so, I'm just, the funny thing was too, is that this dream that I had about the doors and like the gap, like in the bleed through, that somebody, these energies or whatever it was, or these aspects were going to come in and out, like through this closed, through the side of the closed door. It didn't matter if the door was closed or not, like whether I wanted it closed or not, like, because letting go of the past, but like there's still like this little gap that things were coming through, or and not able to like kind of be complete with or shut out in certain ways. So that like just pointed me to different things, like, and I kind of thought about it for a minute, like laying in bed, like what was that and why, like this is like at first like kind of not really wanting to be with it. And that's one of the things that I said in my dream was, I don't want to be with you. I don't want to be with you. And so it was like some condemnation, and it was rage, and it was disgust, and it was like, different things. So like, was it, a part of my dismembered self that was playing out as an image of, husband, like that was being unfaithful and untrue and, cruel. Because there has been like cruel predatory dynamics in certain caregiving relationships, like in core relationships that I've had. Like there has been an abuse of power and like kind of using love as a weapon and like manipulation and and so like just like this disintegration of self and this wearing down and like just being, who do you want me to be, and will you love me if I am that, like kind of a thing, like unraveling all of that. Because there was a part of me that did like want to be a chameleon, to be accepted, to receive the love that I needed by being something that they wanted me to be. And so, like, obviously can't do that for everyone, but it was strategically chosen and engaged in certain ways, like sometimes consciously and sometimes unconsciously. Like sometimes it was just a mask that was slipped on so easily that I thought it was me, but it wasn't. And so, so some of these dream themes that were coming up to be reformed, like transformed, transmuted, just to become aware of and like kind of closed out and completed, finished with, wrapped up and like reconciled and healed within, and to bring certain parts back to me that were rejected and to be like remembered. And so like the past coming up for those things, there was a lot in there about rejection and betrayal and certain things that I felt so ashamed of that I never thought I was capable of and that I would never do, because my ideals, I'm an idealist, and that's like one of my major like dominant archetypes is the idealist, and the innocent child, like that just wants to be. I just want to be free to be free to be me. And I want all others to be free to be themselves. Let's just get along and be free together, you know, like, and yeah, just wanting that so bad, kind of overcompensating and tying myself to different falsities and strategies. Yeah. Created a mess that I had no idea. Yeah, and a web of lies, like, that I was tangled in. And in a lot of ways because of self-deception and self-abandonment, self-betrayal. And so those things were playing out in my relationships and in my life. So for me, yeah, to claim my life, to come, yeah, because it was a loss of soul, really, when I gave, like, parts of myself away or cut parts of myself away for the sake of others' comfort or preferences or expectations, desires, fears, whatever it was, pride. You can't do that. You shouldn't be that. You shouldn't be that way. You shouldn't do that. You need to do it this way. There's this one right way. There's this one right religion. There's this one true thing. All the other things are, you know, meant to be, yeah, meant to lead you off the path or will soil you or whatever. I don't know. It's like some kind of soiling of innocence. And the shame from that. Yeah, shame patterns in the family. Because of the desire to be seen as good and to do good and to be right and to be pure and to be innocent and to be, yeah, what was necessary to enter God's kingdom or to be with God or and to be righteous. Yeah. It created shame-based identity in a lot of ways. But it was like, in a way, it was used to overcompensate because of the shame-based identity. But then it refueled the shame in certain cycles, in some unseen cycles. And yeah, so, and I can see how that, like, one of the roots where it started from, like, with my grandpa, my mom's dad, like, with him when he was a child, going to the bar to take his dad home because his dad was the town drunk, and that was very shaming and humiliating and embarrassing and, like, caused a lot of problems for him and his family, and so he wanted to distance himself, detach, dissociate, or remove that part of himself. No, I'm not that, and go the other route, overcompensation through, like, yeah, being a esteemed church member and following all these rules, these golden rules that, ensured that integrity was the most important thing. And, like, but, like, also, like, physically beating and, like, abusing and verbally and mentally and emotionally abusing his kids and his wife and having all these dysfunctional dynamics, even though, like, as I knew him as a grandpa, he was the best grandpa and this just the most gentle, loving, kind, patient, listening man, like, and friend, like, easy to be with. And maybe he had matured and, like, grown through, like, some of those old things, you know, when he was in that chapter of his life when raising his own kids and different things. But yeah, certain damage had already been done. And, like, I could see, like, through, like, some of my aunts and my uncles' relationships with their own kids, how they passed on dysfunctional things and how they had their own addictions and different battles with alcohol or substances or, like, high-risk behaviors and escapism tendencies and, like, those kinds of things. And, like, how, like, my cousins, like, were severely abused and beaten, and it was a normalized thing, like, yeah, in our, I guess, like, in certain previous generations, to use that corporal punishment and, like, force for compliance. And, like, you know, my dad went to a Catholic school where the nuns beat them and slapped them with rulers and different things, and would beat, like, some of the kids beat their heads against the blackboards and things like that. And it was just awful. like some of the institutionalized abuse that was acceptable and normalized and seen as useful and necessary to control and dominate, like what needed to be controlled, conditioned, and dominated, and molded and modeled and reinforced, like for that system of control, like to operate and keep being perpetuated, you know, through these abusive and predatory cycles that we don't sometimes like want to deny, like our own participation, our own part that we played in that abuse and disregard and dishonoring of ourselves and others that we love and care about and that are in relationship with. And that it's just sad, like in a lot of ways. Like, so just healing, like, and like forgiving and like really having empathy and compassion for these things that we've been through and we've experienced and we played in and through, played out. Just making peace and acceptance, having acceptance with what is right now, even though it's like, it's uncomfortable, but it's like, it's okay to, like, because I know it's like the healing part of the journey, it hurts too. Like, it hurts sometimes more than the original injury, you know, like going in there and like having those feelings and the different trauma that is stored in the body and in the psyche because we haven't had a witness to be present with us, to mirror for us, like the pain that they understand. Because sometimes we're just not able to hold that space for another person when we haven't made the space for ourselves. And so I feel like that's a potential breakthrough coming with how I felt like cut off from my dad and my sisters through the last few years, especially, where it got really polarized and divided, like, and this competition for dominance and rightness, and everybody wanting to be seen as right and good, and they know, they're the ones that are properly informed, you know. And so it's like, why do you have to be so sure about anything, really? Because that is insecurity and uncertainty. Like, really, when we need to overinflate certain things and our own sense of self-worth because of if our value is attached to how right we are, how good we are, or how smart we are, or how superior we are, you know. And so, just kind of looking at these dysfunctional, things and how they all kind of, contribute, to the reinforcing of our stories and of our perceptions and like the roles and the complexes, like, that kind of take us over. And so I'll just talk about like some of the dream themes and some of these other things, but it does have a lot to do with the way that I justified and argued and defended and explained myself, like, and then was in hypervigilance a lot because it was like that desire in a lot of ways to manage other people's perceptions because they totally didn't get where I was coming from sometimes. And then just like with some of the things that I've been looking into and seeing into about like my neurodivergent tendencies and traits and like how I'm wired differently. I used to think there was like, why is this hard for me? Why is this so hard for me? Or what about this? Like, what's wrong with me? Like, there must be something wrong with me. If, I don't see it that way. And so it was always second guessing myself about being wrong and then like feeling wrong for being, and being a burden. And, and just knowing now that like, oh, this actually isn't something that's wrong. It's just different. It's a gift. And like, life has a part in this to play. Like, life does create like diversity, natural diversity, for so many different reasons, and because it's always seeking balance and things like that. And so if I can accept and nurture and love my own differences and my own unique needs and like different energetic pairings or whatever, like not trying to go off somebody else's script or somebody else's preference, but like finding my own. And like that's what I've always wanted to do, is march to the rhythm of my own drum. But like it always seemed to upset some that I really cared about, like, and I wanted to please, and I wanted them to approve of me, and I wanted them to see me and hear me like as I was, like really feel me and attune to me and merge with me, you know. And so like there is that codependent and narcissism, and like different, like they are two sides of the same coin, and they are interchangeable is the thing. We always like to demonize like the narcissistic and idealize the codependent, because the codependent is so virtuous, right? Like, but like they're strategic in certain ways, the way that they show up in relationship, in a more like covertly manipulative. And the covert narcissist has been a big player in my life, and and I've played that part myself, like without realizing. And like just the patterns that have been hounded down to us to play in and modeled to us and interchangeable, like on autopilot and default settings, like the drama triangle, victim, rescuer, and persecutor. And so I can see like how we have all of those parts that run amok undetected sometimes, like through our unconscious and through the relationships that we're in. And so if you could start to pay attention to some of those things, and just notice and observe and like see how that's working, or how it's not working, or how it's serving, or how it's not serving, or how it did serve and now it's no longer serving. There might be a lot of like potential and for huge transformation and like metamorphosis. Like all of a sudden changing. And with the with the bleed throughs and the energy leaks and all of those kinds of things, the funny thing is that I heard Molly McCord's astrology update for the week, for this week, and she, in the minute of like 4 minutes and like 40 seconds, started talking about that exact same thing. So I'm going to put that in the description link. And I was like, just like, wow, that is really cool, because working through these dream themes. And so I've been really busy babysitting and enjoying my littles, my sweeties. And they've helped me to see like, oh my gosh, like look how much love you actually really do share for them. You would do anything for them. You have so much patience for them. They're just like all of, every single moment, like just responding, and attuning to them and their needs, and like making the space, like no rush, no schedules, like let's just see what emerges, let's see what comes, let's just play together, let's and having all these resources available like for them to like play and like create and do artistic things, and have like the time that they can, like with me and my husband, and like they seeing like the supportive like masculine and feminine energies together as grandma and grandpa, and like the different blends that we bring like to nurture and to share with them, and then what they share with us too, like helping us to know ourselves more through this relationship of care and love and devotion and adoration, like really. And I really saw like a couple months ago too, like wow, I'll choose to take care of me in the same ways that I take care of my little grandchildren, and the way that I see them, and they're just such huge gifts of love. And I'm just like, that's what I need for myself. That's what my inner child needs me to be for me. And I'll be that, like, and I'll, instead of like, you want that? You're hungry right now? Psh, whatever. Like, you don't deserve that, or whatever, like kind of noticing like how miserly and stingy I was like with my own needs, because I thought it was like admirable, or it was the thing to do to push my needs aside and self-abandon to take care of everyone else because they were more important. And then like once they were taken care of, when they were happy, when they were healthy, then they could reciprocate, or they could meet me where I was at, or with, they would give to me, they would share with me, they would make space for me. If I made space for them and everything was honky-dory, then everything could be okay and I'd be happy too. But that just didn't ever happen. And I learned that like through another relationship that I got to experience in like 2013, 2014. And that was like some definite narcissistic codependent that was right in my face. And I got so sick from it too. Like, I didn't understand why I was so depressed. But I was like, in a way, fooling myself, lying to myself that, yeah, this is good. Because when it was fun, it was really fun. When it was good, it was good. But when it was horrid, it was, And so, really awkward stuff. Really, in a lot of ways, and vulnerable. And like, that showed me a lot about how I was going against myself and where I was self-abandoning. And and that also emerged in 2020. And then I had to step back, detach, let go of certain relationships so I could come back home to a container to be more objective instead of right in it, and like sift through and sort through some of the things that I couldn't see when I was in it, because hindsight is 2020 in certain ways. Yeah, it is. So, in other uncertain ways. And so, just dissecting different things, and then also zooming out to get the bigger picture, and then could get a little hyper focused on some of these things, but really wanted to learn and get clarity, so I could fix it, and I could feel better. I wouldn't have to sit in this like stew of acid, and but felt excruciatingly painful, and something I just wanted to escape. So like, defense mechanisms and protective mechanisms, coping mechanisms, and all those things. And so it's been a couple months now since I quit smoking, and I'm still chewing gum, but like decreased the nicotine levels, and just being very deliberate, methodical, slow, and just kind of letting go of how it has to be, and doing different things, like letting go of how it has to be, how it needs to be, how it needs to be done in certain ways, like because that limited me like in my choices that I could make. And so just kind of more open to doing like certain things in the ways that they're available for me to do, or to choose, or to receive, or to give, or to to be with. And so that's what's different. Just like letting go of control and surrendering, like flowing with the force, not forcing the flow, and not manipulating myself. And abandoning myself for false control and false peace, and for a superficial show or performance. And so the dream themes, some of the themes that emerged and spoke to me. So infidelity, like that's betrayal, and dishonesty, and distrust, and rage, and disgust, pain, grief, self-pity, and escape. So the doors, and the bedroom, and the gap, and the bleed through, the fear of abandonment, and of being orphaned or erased. The betrayal, mistrust, and the devaluation. A shame, anger, and invalidation. Resentment, guilt, and sadness, rage, rejection, annihilation. Shattering, fragmentation. The freeze response. Discombobulation, disorientation, devaluation, ostracization. So the freeze, fawn, flight, and fight responses, seeing into all of those mechanisms and how they played out in different relationships, because for the most part, it was that I learned to fawn and freeze, and flight. But sometimes, when there was no other option, it was fight. And I really didn't like that part of myself that had to go there and do that and get angry and scream and like, yeah, I resented kind of having to do that, like with certain people, to be more firm and to hold my own ground and my own position and my own space for myself. I hated doing that because it felt so yucky, and it felt so like I was so conditioned not to do that. Like, that is not graceful, that is not giving, that is not, that's not what good girls and nice girls do. And that's just not like really how I'm wired to be. But I've had to overcompensate to some degrees to protect myself in certain ways. Like, we're getting mad. And so like this rage that I've dealt with, this rage that I've worked with and worked through, the last few years have been really hard for me because it wasn't a safe emotion. It wasn't safe to express. It wasn't safe to feel. And so, yeah, it was just like one of the biggest things that I've, received to heal and to allow it to reveal to me, like, where some of my energy was stuck and frozen and trapped in the rejection of this like big part of my energy. And so because of the shame around it, and the way that my mom expressed her anger in certain ways, and then also the ways that my dad expressed his anger in other ways, and so it's like almost like a good cop, bad cop, but they're both contributors to the dysfunctional cycles, and they both created it and enabled it and reinforced it. But yeah, like through idealization and projection, and of themselves and the others, and us. And so like there are these dysfunctional themes and everything of inferiority and superiority too, like that better and lesser than, push and pull dynamics. And just I don't want to be with you, condemnation, rejection, disassociated, exile, cast out, dismembered, misjudged, self-deceived, misunderstood, avoided, fearful of honesty, intimacy, and getting or meeting needs. And it says, cast away a hollow husk of a shell that I used to be. Who do you want me to be? Will you love me? Why not? Why can't you love me if I am what you want me to be? And so yeah, there's a lot of things like that. That dream brought up for me, remembering different things about my relationship with my first husband, and how painful that was, and how invalidating that was. And it just reminded me a lot of my own relationship with my mother in my teenage years, because she was a loving mother, like for the first like formative years of me and my twins and my middle sister's stages of growth and early childhood. But then something else took over in certain ways because of her need for covert control and her own sense of safety and security and surety and all of that, where it got really, really, really controlling and really neurotic, and it ended up controlling her and possessing her, and it was very damaging and like to all of us in a lot of ways. But I was the main target. And also, like, I feel like scapegoated and, like, kind of blamed for different things by my sisters in certain ways because of the way that I needed to rebel or act out or, like, kind of do my own unconscious truth-telling that this dysfunctional shit isn't working. Like, I can't take this anymore. And me having to, like, not be heard. And until, like, I almost killed myself, or would be out and doing really self-destructive things, or cutting myself, or, all these other things that were being swept under the rug because, oh, we don't need to confront that. We'll just have a little talk and everything's better now. There we go. There's a Band-Aid. Let's just pretend it's not happening, like certain things. And yeah, that just wasn't working for me. And I didn't realize like how sensitive, I shut down a lot of my heart and a lot of my feelings because it was just safer that way, like where I just wasn't heard. Or if I was, it was like scapegoated and targeted, or to be blamed for the situation that I was reacting to, and so learning to justify, argue, defend, and explain myself, like because of these different formative relationships, like that showed me, oh, this, you got to defend yourself, not good enough and you're too much, you got to shrink, and other people feel uncomfortable if you're honest, or if you are you're not going to get your needs met by being straight with people. Like, you got to play certain games, and just kind of absorbing that stuff, and then learning to just be a really great deceiver to myself, and then also seeing how I could, if when I put my mind to it, I could be a very great liar and deceive others. And yeah, it was almost intoxicating sometimes, as I was in my own cycles of escapism and addiction and denial, self-denial, not getting needs met in certain ways, so getting them met in other ways that were destructive. So, there are all these other things too that relate. And so the medicine part of all of this I'm going to do on the next video, because alligator is coming up for integration and assimilation, digestion and assimilation and acceptance of all the parts, all life's possibilities and all life's experiences, to integrate them and value them as equal. Not just the things that feel great and are desirable, but also the things that help us, to nurture and that evolution that's possible through dissatisfaction and all those things. And so the energy leaks and the unresolved, incomplete stories, of the desire to have resolution, of these inner conflicts, the funny, weird opening and vulnerability, a complete door with a door frame on hinges, but there's a big hole and gap in the wall next to the door where people can still come in and out even if the door has been slammed shut. Is there irreconcilable differences? Yeah, some of these teachers and reflections in relationship with me have been my biggest challengers, tormentors, abusers, self-esteem squashers, bullies, underminers. Yeah, and colonizers in my own mind that colored the lens of how I saw myself and how I saw them. Yeah. And so kind of looking at the idealized and romanticized golden child and kind of wanting to be that, the golden child, but not couldn't quite fit that, so I was the misfit. I was othered. I was divided competition and for attention and dominance in importance. Yeah, being disvalued and dismembered as the scapegoat in and through transactional relationship dynamics and emotional immaturity, covert narcissistic codependency, poor boundaries, poor judgment and discernment. There was themes of emotional incest and parentification going on, but also infantilization. There's projective splitting and covert, very subtle and almost imperceptible sneaky ninja saboteur energies happening that I can see like are playing out still through certain members of my family. So codependence and exploitation go hand in hand, go hand in hand, dismembered hand in hand. In fragmentation and separation, shame, burdens, lack, and an unsustainable system of forgetting my needs to get my survival needs met. The bargain without knowing, the harm done in sin against myself, ignorance, and what I obfuscated and manipulated and hid from myself, reinforced and perpetuated. What has this model or form created or miscreated or just propped up? So let go of the need to be right and have them see the light, the truth as I see it, and I have seen it. Let go of needing to prove, explain, defend, justify my life, my why, my how, my existence, my worth, my value, my being, my beloved precious self, my child of mine, myself, my full self, my sacred self, my whole self, the gift of love that I am, that love gave to me, that I am authentically, to know that I am, this love that I am, this love that I love, that I know that I am. So I think I feel complete with that, and I'll come back and share a couple things that, a couple fun synchronicities that I found just even today and yesterday, because the kids, the little grandkids, they've been like pulling out books from my bookshelf lately. And I'm just like, when stuff like that happens, I'm just like, I'm going to pay attention to that. Because that, like with the messenger is huge right now when you pay attention. So, what got pulled out last week, little James pulled out The Archetypal Universe by Ren Butler last week. And so I've had it out and been looking into some things in there. And then like yesterday, little James, he pulled out Dream Body by Arnold Mindell. Dream Body. And The Shaman's Body by Arnold Mindell. And also Healing Mantras by Thomas Ashley Ferrant. And the Astrology Bible. And so there is like a lot of astrological stuff happening, like that I want to learn about, and that I really enjoy, and I would like to study and master and integrate more fully into like my tapestry of knowledge and wisdom. And so the healing mantras have helped me a lot, like in different phases and stages of my growth and cycles of my life. And it's like coming back around to encourage me to share this gift, this technology that we do have available to us, that is magical because of how it resonates and how it vibrates in our body, and the intentions and the direction and the suggestion and all of that we can, the momentum that we can use and direct for our own growth and our own goals and our own healing and holding and potential. And so one of the mantras that are coming up for me too is that Om Hum Hanumate Vijayam, like salutations and salutations to the prana and its evolutionary course, or something along those lines. Victory to the prana in its evolutionary course, and that it's a way of cleansing and storing up like personal power and redemption. It's redemption. It's that even the most like disgusting parts, like or karmic like seeds or whatever that have been running amok or just been causing chaos or just sliming everything, like those things can be healed in an instant because of the divine like forgiveness, and they can be changed in an instant if the heart is pure and it's open. Like it can be lifted and transformed and changed. Like even the most disgusting, like seemingly worst parts of humanity can be transformed in an instant through that grace, through that love and through that truth through the truth that's connected to the heart and to all that we are, to the I am that I am. Like, and yeah, that devotion that we have, like, and that love of truth. And so, yeah, feeling into and thinking about the story of Hanumati and Rama and Sita and all of that. And so I'll share a little bit more around that in the next one. And so I just feel like, yeah, that there is so much possibility and potency for closing out old things and completion and laying the foundation for a new life that wants to be lived. The unlived life, you know, like, yeah, that we can only see or receive because if we're following those threads, like, you know, of feelings of dissatisfaction or dis-ease, like paying attention to those things instead of escaping them, being curious and being grateful and saying, okay, what do you have for me? Instead of outright rejecting or abandoning, you know, those parts of the self that are just saying, hey, I really need a cookie, or I need some love, or I need like some reassurance or some validation or just some care and some awareness and some space, you know, to be here with you. I want to be here with you. Like, so for those parts of myself that I said I don't want to be with you, I call them back home with love and care and asking for forgiveness and gratitude that they wanted to share and be with me. So please come home. I welcome you to be with me. I love you. I thank you. Please forgive me. I love you. I thank you. I respect you. Thank you. I love you. I thank you. You matter to me. I value you. You're important to me. You're loved. You're lovable. You're worthy. Thank you for making me complete and whole and fluid and not just one thing, many things and nothing all at the same time simultaneously. So loving all that I am, that I am, that I am, and all that I shall be and become. All that I've been, all that I shall be and will be and am, just as I am here as I am. I know that I am that I am. I love that I am that I am. I know that I am that I am that I am. And I'll be that I am that I am. I'll be with this love that I am. All right. Thanks for listening. I'll see you later and we'll talk again. Bye.